This is Elias. He was born on a quiet Tuesday morning in late autumn, the kind of morning where nothing remarkable announces itself. Elias grew up in a narrow house with thin walls and a family that spoke softly, not because they were gentle, but because they were careful. His mother believed silence prevented problems. His father believed endurance was love. Elias learned early that time moved forward whether you were ready or not. He watched his grandparents age in real time, hands thinning, voices slowing, memories repeating like scratched records. Death was never discussed, only hinted at through absences, an empty chair, a name no longer spoken aloud. When Elias was 29, his older sister died suddenly, and the unspoken became unavoidable. In the weeks that followed, he noticed something unsettling. The world did not pause. Cars still passed, coffee still brewed. The sky still shifted colors at dusk. His grief felt enormous, but reality remained indifferent. That contrast changed him. He began paying attention to endings, not morbidly, but honestly. He noticed how everything meaningful carried an expiration date, and how pretending otherwise only made the loss sharper when it arrived. Elias didn't become fearless. He became awake. To everything, there is a season, not just for beginnings, but for endings too. We celebrate entrances into the world with noise and color, with cameras flashing and calendars filling up with milestones. But when the season turns, when life starts to close instead of open, we lower our voices, we avoid eye contact, we act surprised, as if this wasn't always part of the agreement. Death feels like a betrayal only because we spend so much of our lives pretending it isn't coming. The truth is, death rarely arrives as chaos. More often, it arrives as a process, a slowing, a dimming, a gradual retreat from the body you once knew so well. The heart softens its rhythm. Breath becomes irregular, like it's testing the idea of stopping. Color drains quietly, not all at once, but in patches, as if the body is letting go in stages. Time becomes strangely precise in those moments. Minutes feel heavy. Clocks feel loud, and yet beneath all of that, something unexpected often appears. Calm, readiness, a sense that whatever needed to be said has already been forming for years. People nearing the end don't usually fear the moment itself. They fear unfinished business, words not spoken, forgiveness delayed, love assumed instead of expressed, and so they wait for a voice, for a face, for permission to rest. Death doesn't always take. Sometimes it waits until the room feels complete. And this is where I want to slow down with you. Not to rush toward meaning, but to sit inside it for a moment. If you're listening to this, chances are you've already brushed up against loss, or you sense it approaching somewhere on the horizon. Maybe you're carrying grief that never fully unpacked itself. Maybe you're afraid of the idea of death because it feels lonely, final, irreversible, or maybe you're not afraid of dying at all, but terrified of wasting the time before it happens. What we know about death, we know through the body. What happens after, we only know through stories. Some return with memories they can't fully explain, moments seen from above, voices recognized without sound, familiar presences waiting in places that don't resemble rooms or roads. Whether these experiences are neurological echoes or something beyond explanation is still debated, but one detail repeats with strange consistency. When life flashes before the eyes, it isn't the grand highlights, it's the overlooked moments, the ordinary, the forgotten, a staircase, a pet, a random afternoon that never made it into a photograph. That alone should tell us something important. Meaning isn't stored only in milestones, it's scattered everywhere, hiding in the mundane. And if death reveals anything, it's that we were surrounded by significance long before we noticed. Across history, humans have always understood this instinctively. We buried our dead with care, with objects, with rituals, with stories. We gathered not just to mourn, but to remember out loud, to stitch meaning back into a world that felt torn. Different cultures imagined different endings, but all of them treated death as something worthy of attention, not avoidance. What follows a death is often harder than the moment itself. The weeks where absence becomes routine, the realization that memory is now doing all the work. Grief doesn't move in straight lines, it circles, it ambushes, but it also teaches, it sharpens perspective, it strips away trivialities, it reminds us that character matters more than accomplishment, because in the end, stories are what survive us. When you sit with someone who is dying, Understand this. The fear you feel is rarely theirs. They are often already somewhere quieter, somewhere softer. Your job is not to fix anything, it's to witness, to hold a hand, to speak honestly, to talk about love, about life, about moments that mattered, to acknowledge the ending instead of denying it. The earth will keep turning, the birds will keep singing, and everything eventually will reach its season's end. The question isn't whether death will come, it's whether we'll have truly lived before it does.